we use in when we talk about space. Let's take a look. In the office, in the room. He is in the room. Yes? The cat is in the bag. It's a space. This room is a space. This bag is a space. Let's jump to arrive. Well, with arrive, we don't use to, even though it's a direction. So, but how to memorize if it's in or at? It's just the same. You arrive in a large space. So, large space in this case, it's city, it's country, it's region, but it's a space because it has borders. And talking about some activities, yes? Meetings and lessons and classes. So you are in the space when you are actively participating. So you are in the class or in the meeting if you are actively participating. Here we have people who are active and involved. Yeah? Okay. On the contrary, at. Well, we use at when we are emphasizing the point rather than space. So, being at the airport, like here, being at the Central Park. Well, I'm waiting you at the Central Park, or I've been at the Central Park, or something else. Oh, I work at the Central Park. What about arrive at? Well, it's just the same. You arrive at a point like the office, at a point like the airport, at a point like Tiffany's, at a point like school, university, cafe, restaurant, something else. And you definitely don't arrive in, yes, because you are not arriving in just inside of this space. You arrive at. Okay, let's speak about meetings and classes. It's just the same. When you are not in the class or meeting, you are at the event, you are somewhere at the point of this event, but not inside of this space, because you are not inside, you are at. I hope it helps. So look, I think that making this practice will help you understand even deeper the usage of in and at, because this exercise is about paraphrasing. So you need to create a sentence with a different preposition, but based on this vocabulary. So here we have, she was in the building when the alarm went off. How? Okay, let me explain. She was in the building when the alarm went off. Well, it was important to emphasize that she was inside, because they were talking about alarm. Yes? What should we do so we could use preposition at? We need to mention the building like a point, not like a space. How would we do it? So I created the sentence mentioning main entrance. You actually cannot be in main entrance because it's kind of point. Yes? And so she was at the main entrance of the building when the alarm started ringing. Okay, very good. Let's move forward. Okay, he is at the hospital. He is at work. Well, usually when we talking about work, office, a university, school, we are using at. Unless we are using some specific space inside of these places, or maybe some activity, and it can influence the preposition. So let's take a look what we need to change. He is in the hospital's emergency department working his night shift. So he is working his night shift, yeah, absolutely inside of this emergency department. Yes, he is inside, fulfilling his responsibilities. Okay, I saw him at the airport. Well, yeah, we don't know. I saw him at the airport, not inside, not in specific maybe space, but just without mentioning anything else, we use at. What should we change so we could use in? Well, airport lobby is something very specific, yeah, space. So we use in with the airport lobby. So I saw him in the airport lobby while waiting for my flight. Okay. She was at the school when it happened. Yeah, she was at the school, she was studying, she was at that point. She was there. What should we change so we could use in? In which case we will use in. Okay, she was in the school hallway when it happened. Like here we use specific space in the school when something happened. Okay, we arrived in Italy late at night. We arrived in Italy, we already talked about that, inside of the country. That's why it's in, because it's a specific space. What should we change? Well, I created we arrived at the Rome airport just before midnight. Yeah, so we arrived in Italy and we arrived at the Rome airport. At some point, that's why we're using at. Okay, I stayed at the hotel near the beach. Where did you stay? I stayed at the hotel near the beach. Very good. When we use in, well, kind of different situation, yeah? Well, I stayed in the hotel near the beach when I heard huge noise outside. So you were in some space, yes? When you heard that noise. That's why you're using in. Okay, my sons are at the university. Well, okay, they are now studying somewhere in a different place at that point on the map. How should we change to use in? They are in the university library working on a group project. Well, they are in specific space working on a project. That's why it's in. We met at the cafe. Well, yeah, where did you meet? We met at the cafe. Not a restaurant, not a cinema, not a school. Okay, we met in the small cafe and having lunch now. So, because we mentioned in having lunch now, you are having lunch inside, maybe, yes, maybe it's a terrace, but anyway, it's in the cafe. It's not just a point, it's a space. I stayed in the hotel for 2 nights and didn't go out because of storms. Well, here we have storms mentioned. And that's why a person stayed inside of the hotel, in the space, maybe for safety reasons. That's why it's used in. What should we change? Yeah, and if you don't mention that you were inside because of something, it's the same. Where did you stay last time? At the hotel, at Airbnb, at your friends? No, I stayed at the hotel last time I visited Munich. Hey guys, well, I hope you enjoyed these practices. I would like to ask you to give me likes, to subscribe to my channel, and post comments. If you have some questions, troubles in English, please let me know. I'm here to help you.